Welcome to the PCOS Fertility Health Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Angela Potter. I'm the creator of the PCOS Fertility Protocol. And today you're in for a very special treat because Taylor, one of my clients, is coming on the podcast to tell you her journey with PCOS, infertility struggles, and how she was able to turn that around to get pregnant with her healthy baby. So I'm really excited for you to hear Taylor's story because she's going to share what her doctors told her when she was in certain doctor appointments, what information she was told about PCOS and trying to get pregnant. And she's going to share with you the steps that she took and how she found me in order to get to a place where she was able to turn her fertility health around so that she could be pregnant now with her healthy baby. Listen to her full story because it is an up and down journey. Even when her and I were working together, she experienced some setbacks and she kept moving forward. And now here she is, super excited to meet her new baby soon. And she wants to share this story with you as a message of hope to help you to continue putting your foot forward one day at a time to help your health turn around so that you can also have a similar story one day as she is telling you now. Before we dive into Taylor telling her story, be sure that you have picked up your copy of the PCOS Fertility Checklist. That is a simple checklist that will help you understand what needs to happen with your PCOS in order to get the best chance of getting pregnant. And follow me over on Instagram at Dr. Angela Potter, where you'll get updates on this podcast and way more information about PCOS and fertility. Now let's dive into the conversation that Taylor and I have about her PCOS, infertility, and pregnancy story.
I guess I should probably start before my husband and I got married, just when I started having periods. So irregular periods from the time that I got them. I think my first one was at like 14. I had one bleed, and then I didn't bleed again until I was 16. So then at 16, when I started bleeding, I don't remember it being like regular monthly cycles like all of my friends did, but I was also super active and very tall, very lean for my age. So, I don't know if maybe stress on my body, like that's, kind of what it was, or if I was already showing signs of PCOS, but we just didn't know it. So when I did get my periods, they were super painful. I would want to stay home from school. I would just want to lay on the heating pad. And my mom was like, yeah, this is like, something's wrong here. So she took me to the OB or to the gynecologist and was like, I'm not sure. She's not super regular. She's not sexually active. And immediately they're like, birth control, 16-year-old girl. They're like, let's just put her on birth control because, then her periods will be regular and they won't be as painful. And so, we didn't know what we didn't know. And so started on birth control from the time that I was 16 until, we got married. I was 21. So 16 to 21 was on birth control. And then after we got married, we decided, okay, we're gonna not take birth control anymore. If we get pregnant, we'll be happy, but we weren't really trying then. It was kind of like a detox period for my body. Like, we're not going to use any contraceptives, but we're also not like trying to time it and trying to get pregnant right away. So that was in 2017. And so a year goes by. We kind of had a 5-year plan. We were going to try to build our lives, renovate a house, start our business, and really focus on that stuff rather than trying to start a family right away. Just getting to know each other in married life is difficult in itself. So trying to make all the adjustments. So we started, I would say 2018 going into 2019, we started looking at like, okay, like, this hasn't happened yet. Is there a reason why this hasn't happened yet? And my periods also weren't regular. And so I went to my gynecologist and I said, hey, I'm just kind of concerned, like, want to make sure that everything's okay on my end, that, I don't have regular periods. When they do come, they're painful. And so he basically said, well, you have two options. You can go on birth control, or when you're ready to get pregnant, I can write you a prescription and we'll kind of start some medication that will help you get pregnant. And I was just like, I don't really like those answers because I don't know what the actual problem is. Like, why? My body should be naturally doing this on its own, so why isn't it? Instead of taking a pill for something to fix, slap a Band-Aid on it, I really wanted to get to the root cause. And so he was like, well, if you want to know more, we can do an ultrasound and kind of look to make sure that everything's good there. So got an ultrasound, and that's when they officially diagnosed me with PCOS, because they saw the string of pearls that were on my ovaries. And so they're like, okay, so you have polycystic ovarian syndrome, even though I didn't have the weight gain, the facial hair, a lot of the symptoms that a lot of women do. And so with that, they basically just told me, okay, you have PCOS and you will have to do some form of IVF to get pregnant. So I was like, again, I'm still not getting to the root cause. How do I do this? And so upon getting fed up with, just going back to the doctor, getting my yearly pap smear, getting everything checked, making sure everything was good there, I was like, okay, what do I do now? So started researching, PCOS, doing all the fad diets, doing the HIIT exercises, doing all the things that, Pinterest and the internet says you should do. And I don't know if it's just the, I'll do this for 3 months and I don't know if it actually works or not, or if it was just the combination of stressing myself out because I'm trying to do so much. None of it was working. I wasn't getting a regular period. And that probably went on for 2 years maybe. And so after that, after getting fed up with my regular OB, doing all this fad dieting, counting calories, working with personal trainers, nothing was working on actually getting my cycle back like I thought it would. And so, or at least back to normal for most people. And so I actually did schedule an appointment, consultation with an IVF clinic, and went and had my tubes checked. My husband had his sperm checked, his quality, motility, everything. And they were basically like, everything looks good, so when you're ready to get pregnant, just come back. And so I'm like, if everything looks good, why is this not working? It still just wasn't adding up in my brain. Why it was not, 2 and 2 equals 4. Why is it not equaling 4? And so I started listening to a bunch of podcasts, and that's actually where I found you at, was through, I can't remember which podcast it was that I was listening to. But anyway, she had a referral code and was like, go set up a call, see if this person will work for you. At that point, I was like, okay, we've been trying for 6 years to get pregnant at this point, and no luck. My periods still weren't back, to a monthly normal, rhythm. I wasn't having any relief when I would have my periods. And so I was like, something's got to give. So I scheduled my consultation with you. You thought that we would be a good fit to work together. And so I actually had a little bit of hope, because I was like, wow, there's actually someone who says, yeah, you can do this naturally, and not just, you're going to have to do IVF or you're going to have to take this pill. And so the changes that we had to make were, I wouldn't say difficult, because I had already eliminated most toxins, toxins from our household. I wasn't consuming a lot of things with dyes and added sugar, and, I had already eliminated soy from my diet. And so most of the changes that I had to make weren't difficult, but it definitely was a change. And so to have someone who has a strict plan that says, this is what you need to do, this is where all of your levels are, this is where we want you to be, and really just focusing on my cycles and not so much on the trying to get pregnant aspect, because I had already decided, okay, if I can't get pregnant, then I at least want to be able to have a healthy cycle for my body to not lead into other issues. So with that, changing, going gluten-free, dairy-free, we did that for a little while. I can't remember the name of the cleanse that we did, but doing that, that was probably the most difficult thing through the entire process, was doing that cleanse. Even though it wasn't horribly long, it just had so many restrictions on it. But I truly think that like making all these changes, taking the supplements to naturally support my body and not just a Band-Aid fix-it pill that was going to mask my symptoms. I truly think that's what did it. And that's what healed my body to the point where, yes, I could have, I could get pregnant, because before I could never even get pregnant. And so, getting pregnant the first time and then having the miscarriage, that was kind of, there was hope, even though it was a hopeless time. So, I was able to get pregnant, and that was something that I'd never been able to do before. And so having the miscarriage, I was like, okay, like I'm not going to focus on the negative part of this. I'm going to focus on, I've not been able to get pregnant successfully in 6 years. And this was the first time after all of this work that we had put in. And so, then focusing on that and shifting my gears back to, okay, not going to focus on getting pregnant now, just going to focus on healing my body, still just working on the foundation itself, and that will come with time. And so little did I know, a few months later, that would be my time, and that I would get pregnant and not even know it. And then, here we are now, 17 weeks later, getting ready to bring a baby into this world in October. So it's kind of a crazy journey, but there's highs and lows, and you definitely have to ride it just as it comes and put in the work. And it's not going to be easy, but that's just part of it. So I don't know if you have specific questions for me.
I'm just so grateful for you sharing your story, because it's such a beacon of hope for others who are struggling. Mm-hmm. So back a year-ish ago, when you had been trying for so long to get pregnant and you were in that space, you still didn't know there was this hope in front of you.
Yeah.
Like, what were some of the daily struggles that you were going with the PCOS and the infertility?
I mean, just being uncomfortable in my body was one. So, you see everybody in their pregnancy announcements, or they just have a baby, and you're so happy for other people, but you're like, man, I wish that was me. When is it going to be my time? So that was really a struggle for me, especially with social media. Like, it felt like every single one of my girlfriends, like, on my page, and it was like, I would scroll every single day and somebody new would either be having their baby or announcing it. And I was just like, this is exhausting. Like, constantly comparing where you are in your life, which comparison is the thief of joy anyway. But it was just like, this is like a lot to take in, to try to stop comparing myself. So that was something that I struggled with. And then like body image issues, held a lot of weight in my midsection, just bloating. My body was just inflammation. My body wasn't able to, properly detox and have these detox pathways that were working. So yeah, that was another thing with working with you, was doing the sauna and then the ice bath, which I'm pretty sure that's how people found out I was pregnant, was because I was holding myself accountable by doing the ice bath every day and sharing it on our social media. And then at the end of January, after I found out that I was pregnant, I stopped, because you had said, let's take a break on this. We want to make sure that everything's good. And people were like, why'd you stop ice bathing? I was like, our tub had a leak in it. It wasn't a lie, because it did have a leak, but I was just like, we did get a replacement. I just didn't use it because I wasn't supposed to. But yeah, so doing that stuff was challenging. But back to like the struggles, just body image issues, comparing myself and looking at others' journeys versus where I was. And then, having doctors basically tell you these are your only options and you're not going to be able to do it yourself. You basically need to just, give in and take this medication, which I was, to each their own. If that's someone's preference is, to go ahead and just listen to doctors. I don't know if that's just the Taurus in me, but I like to put up a fight and do things my way. So I'm like, no, I think I want to try this on my own. I think I want to try this my own way and see what happens. And so, I don't know what would have happened. I may have went down that route had I not found you. But I'm just very thankful that I did. And that's where my journey is now.
Yeah. I'm just so excited for you.
Yeah.
And so now here you are that you are pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
What has really, and you've gone through this journey of seeing your body make these changes. Like, what has that opened up for you more than just being pregnant, and for your body and your mind? What's opened up for you?
I feel like I'm not, like, negative self-talk has basically disappeared, which is crazy because before it was like constantly just in the back of my mind, like, okay, obviously you're not good enough because you can't get pregnant. And so that was something that I really struggled with. Sorry, that made me emotional. I can also now blame this on pregnancy hormones. Because, you just want to cry at everything.
Mm-hmm.
So that was probably the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, just basically having hope again. If I could get it together, that would be good.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, so those two were probably the two biggest, like, changes that I've noticed. And then just being able to kind of share my story and give other people hope who are in the same situation. So, but yeah, the body changes are definitely weird because I was starting to see, like, really good progress. And then, I got pregnant and I was like, okay, now we're going to go the other way. But like, my body was making really good progress because I was like, okay, the bloating has gone down. My inflammation has gone down. Like, I could see it in my face and see it in my stomach. All the places that I have carried weight for so many years, that was really something that I could see with, like, the diet and just not even, like, exercise. I mean, I didn't do anything out of the norm that I didn't do regularly. So I can't attribute it to that, but just the inflammation that was leaving my body. So that was definitely, something cool to see. And that, all these little things do add up and that there is a major impact when you kind of get the right puzzle pieces together.
Yeah. And that, which is so cool because that's what you were struggling with when we started working together, right? You were just weren't getting a doctor who was willing to take that extra step to put those together for you.
Yeah. It was basically like, you can do your own research and find out what you can, but when you're ready to get pregnant, you just come back to me and I'll just write you a prescription. Which, who knows if that would have even worked because my body may not have responded to it because it wasn't in the right, state.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all these what ifs and you never know until you actually try. So it's the scary thing because it's, it's time and some people don't have time on their side. Fortunately, I did, or I do. But it's just one of those things that you're like, okay, if I'm committed to this, I'm going to do it and I'm going to see where it goes. And luckily it just worked out.
So for those who are watching who are in your position where you were, a year and a half ago, or any point during the infertility journey, what would you say to them?
Don't give up hope. Just keep going, because all the work that you're putting in, regardless of if it's big or small, each day adds up. So don't beat yourself up if one day you're like, you know what, I'm going to give up. I'm just not going to do this anymore. Just stop the negative self-talk, as hard as it is. But just give yourself some grace, lean on your family and friends. It's very isolating being in this journey alone. So know that you're not alone, because there are so many women who deal with this, and are currently dealing with it, have dealt with it in the past. Even the ones who have children that, you see out, they may have the same story as you. They just found someone who was able to help them. So don't give up hope and keep working towards your goal.
So beautiful. And Taylor, I'm really just overjoyed to be at this moment with you, to be sharing this excitement, and it's so amazing. I'm really extremely happy for you and your husband.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, I honestly don't think it would be possible without you. So I'm like, seriously, so thank you.
Well, of course. I mean, you are the one that did the work. I just kind of helped do a little guidance, but you did that work.
Well, you put all the pieces together, because that's where I was struggling, was like, trying to figure out what all needed to happen. And I think, with your knowledge and your history, with all of your patients, you were able to quickly do that. I mean, we worked together less than a year and I got pregnant for the first time. And then, it was, it still wasn't even a year by the time that I had gotten pregnant the second time. So we just came up on a year. And that is something that I don't think that in my brain I thought was possible when we first started working together. I just thought, okay, she's going to help me get my periods back, and then it'll be probably another few years, and then, I'll be able to get pregnant. But it was in the grand scheme of things, it was a quick process. So yeah, thank you.
Oh my gosh. I am so honored to be on this journey with you.
Well, anybody that I talk to, I'm like, listen, if you're struggling, like, go to Dr. Potter, have her put a plan together for you. Because I swear by it, I'm like, I can tell you what I did, but that doesn't mean that's going to work for you. If that's the one thing I've found out, like, each person's body is so different in what they need, and that, like, you truly have to find someone who's willing to look at every single little detail of how your body works and what it needs to get it on the right path.
Yeah, that's so important. Thank you. Yeah. For saying that.
Because all of the stuff on Pinterest and all the stuff that you find on the internet, it's, it's what worked for one person, but it's not the fix-it pill Band-Aid. Every single person is different. So yeah, it's definitely worth getting a plan together and then following it. And truly, as hard as it is, as bad as some of the stuff tastes, just get through it. You can do it.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. Whatever it takes.
Taylor, I mean, your story is such a sign of hope for so many other women. So thank you for being here to share it, because it's really powerful.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anytime.
Wasn't Taylor's story really uplifting? And I hope you were able to resonate with what she said. You were able to connect with certain parts of her journey. And I hope that her story of getting pregnant gives you hope for your own fertility story. And if you are looking for answers, you can reach out to me and you and I can talk on the phone about your specific fertility struggles, what's been missing from your care, and how you can move forward in order to uncover the root cause of what's keeping you from getting pregnant and understand the most important next step that you can take in order to move forward to be at a place where Taylor is. You can book that free call at drangelapotter.com/PCOS. I will include that link in the show notes. And a reminder that this information on this podcast is for informational and inspirational purposes only. So in order for you to get specific medical information from me, you need to start by signing up for one of those PCOS Fertility Breakthrough Sessions. If you are loving this podcast, please head on over to Apple Podcasts and give me a positive review. That helps this podcast move throughout the world and help get its way to women who have PCOS and need to hear this information. Thank you so much for being here. And if nobody has told you this today, I want to be the one to tell you that I believe in you and I believe in your ability to get the very best chance at getting pregnant with PCOS. Join me right back here next Wednesday.